What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 83. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
Oh my gosh, we are all living in Kylian Mbappe's world, are we not? Wow.
Facts.
Wow, wow, wow. I don't even want to talk about the U.S. men's national team leaving the round of 16 because Kylian Mbappe just rocked my world. That's for damn sure.
Is Kylian Mbappe the best player in the World Cup until now, Bretson?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt.
I completely
Without a doubt. I
agree
mean,
with
come
you.
on. He has 7 goal involvements in like a little over 3 full games played. You know, because he only had that 20-plus minute cameo in that weird loss against Tunisia at the end of the group stage, and he has done everything he can to make sure that France comes out on top, and then some. And it's just bonkers. Let's get the statistic out of the way. He now has 9 World Cup goals, and he now has 9 World Cup goals before the age of 24, surpassing not by 1 goal but by 2 goals. A certain guy named Pele, who we all hope is getting better right now at a hospital, getting better. But my goodness, Kylian Mbappe is just won a World Cup so far.
That's ridiculous, man. And I completely agree with you. Kylian Mbappe is the best player in the world right now in football, okay? It's no debate. And the 2 goals against Poland were golazos. And let's not forget he had an assist too. Which Kylian Mbappe's assist made Olivier Giroud the top goal scorer ever in French history with 52 goals too. So it's Mbappe, Giroud, Griezmann playing well, Tchouaméni playing well, and that left side with Theo Hernandez. Everything is locked. And France now, man, it's going to be very difficult for England or Senegal, but England, let's see who goes through, man. It's going to be very hard. And yeah, it's Mbappe to Real one day, right? That's the thing.
I mean, it kind of has to be. I don't know of any real other logical step there unless somebody else comes into a treasure trove of money or there's 500 other levers to pull. But listen, like this French national team would have had such a different feel with Karim Benzema. And like we said, it was really weird saying it, but it was like maybe it was for the Les Bleus, maybe it was for the better that Karim Benzema did in fact get injured, which is so bizarre to say because Olivier Giroud just fits a whole lot better with what they're doing. And it's like 2018, not really all over again. But come on, Griezmann, he might not be in 2018 form, but he's pretty dang close. And Kylian Mbappe, who, only had 4 goals in 2018. Only had 4 goals in 2018. He's now got 7 goal involvements. And he's looking like a guy that could take them at least all the way to the semifinals with no problem. And the crazy thing here is that the other guys are stepping up on the field.
True.
Theo, it has been absolutely phenomenal.
Facts. And
Aurélien Tchouaméni has been absolutely phenomenal. I'd say that they've only really had some issues with maybe Lloris, maybe with the center back coupling, maybe, and that's a good place to be at where you're in the round of 16. You're in the quarterfinals and you haven't yet played your best football.
Facts. And it's absolutely crazy that France can win the World Cup with no Nkunku, no Benzema, no Kanté, no Paul Pogba, maybe no Varane, no Ferland Mendy even there. Like, the amount of talent that France has is absolutely ridiculous. And Mbappe is absolutely taking the lead. So, people, tell us down below. Do you agree with us that Kylian Mbappe is the best player in the world until, like, right now in football? Tell us in the comments section. We want to see that chat. But, Bretson, my condolences for what happened with the Netherlands, man. You guys played very well. The U.S., in this World Cup, they impressed me and the whole world, definitely. The impression that you guys are leaving, the youngest team in the World Cup, the U.S., with the youngest captain too with Tyler Adams, you guys went bold. And you represented CONCACAF the right way, in my opinion, Bretson.
Yeah.
Gotta say
well, It didn't take much to represent CONCACAF the right way in this particular World Cup, because CONCACAF did not show up, and there is going to need to be, considering none of us have a qualifying campaign, and by none of us I mean Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. before 2026. There's going to need to be some big competitive decisions made in order to get the opponents that are necessary to make sure that this form from CONCACAF as a region doesn't replicate itself. But listen. I think we were outcoached by Van Gaal. I think the Dutch knew kind of where to poke and prod, and they were absolutely clinical with the chances they got. And it showed kind of, hey, we took maybe a few steps forward, but at the same time, we played with a little bit of naivete. I mean, we housed in, you ready for this? We housed in like 94 crosses when we don't even have an established 9 that can get on the end of them. I mean, to get the negatives out of the way, Christian Pulisic, while he was phenomenal with 3 goal involvements in 4 games, he was also atrocious on set pieces. Absolutely atrocious on set pieces. And that was a large portion of the 90 crosses that went into the box with nothing to necessarily show for it. Nothing to take away from a tournament that he had that was very good, that could have ended in injury and didn't. But Louis van Gaal knew he unfortunately made a lot of the guys that were heroes in the group stage, he made them look a little bit silly in that USA versus Netherlands game. You know, Tyler Adams lost his man on that first goal. On the second goal, well, Yunus Musa was at fault a couple times for not covering. Anthony Robinson, Jedi Robinson, also lost his mark on that third goal that really took the wind out of our sails. Yeah, so it is one of those things where, like, maybe it's for the better. As a young squad, you got to learn from that, because while we did create chances, while we did actually, I wouldn't say dominate, because it was part of the Netherlands' plan to let us have the ball and then hit us on the counter, but we did play good football for the most part.
Well, the U.S. lost with Zimmerman and Tim Ream at the back.
Yes.
And it's the old players that made the fault, in my opinion, with the U.S. men's national team. Again, the midfield is amazing. McKennie, Musa, Tyler Adams, way up forwards, and Pulisic was not the best in the last game too. But like next World Cup, like Gio Reyna and Musa will be 23, 24. Gaga Slonina will finally be starting in goal, in my opinion. And at the back, you will have Chris Richards available, okay? So there is positives, hopefully. But how different do you think this U.S. team's going to look? I think the core will be the same. And there's going to be like Paxton Aronson maybe right there. You're going to have little changes. No?
Yeah, I wouldn't even really call it. I would say that they're fundamentally, the way that our development has been working in terms of kind of an exponential feel to our output, and the academy's really starting to rev up. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a whole lot more change than you think, right? The bigger thing is going to be, names that we probably wouldn't even think are on the radar will kind of creep their way in. True. It's going to be really hard to knock out a Musa, McKennie, and Adams if they're still playing at their, their peak, right? Definitely. And Musa in particular, I mean, the kid is he just turned 20 at the beginning of the tournament. Man. So like there's just so much ahead of this group, but I am very, very bullish on the next 4 years, not just with this group, because I'd be happy to take a very similar team to 2026, but I am more bullish on the developmental pipeline, that I'm pretty confident that I could sit here and I could list 10 or 15 guys that could develop into something big moving forward, and that's probably for another day, maybe in early 2023, when we kind of take our last looks at this World Cup and the effect of it. But listen, the questions still stand. Yeah, I mean, where's our 9? Because a lot of the bigger issues was you got a lot of half chances, you got a lot of fun interplay at the top of the box. None of it was ever followed up with any real incisive shooting, any real occupation of the 2 center backs in order to open up even more space for the interplay between a McKennie, a Musa, and a Pulisic. So it kind of comes down to like, is it going to be Ricardo Pepi? Is it going to be the guys like Daryl Dike and Jordan Pefok and guys that just didn't get the chance? Because Jesus Ferreira, I like him as a Major League Soccer player. I think he's going to do great, maybe moving up to a middle of the table European team at some point, but he's not the guy. He's clearly not the guy.
Pepe has it.
So
Pepe has it. At Groningen, he's showing it now. I really believe the development. I think he's the best player that can go as striker for 2026 until now, from what we're seeing. Yeah. So, those are the three players. Pepe, Gaga, and Chris Richards.
I got to give a little love to the Dutch because the Dutch played they played very well. Denzel Dumfries is a hell of a player. Thanks. I'm going to say it. I don't know. I know his time at Inter hasn't exactly made him like a fan favorite necessarily, but Denzel Dumfries for the Oranje, he was a handful. I mean, he was involved in pretty much everything. Jurrien Timber, while he hasn't been like lights out Mr. Center back this whole tournament, he has done enough to make himself, a whole lot better in my eyes.
Cody Gakpo
Cody Gakpo.
The star of the Netherlands, definitely, in my opinion. And, like, that makes me think Cody Gakpo now is going to 100% get a move to the Prem. And Man United, with Erik ten Hag, Malacia being there too, like, the pattern is the same. Eredivisie to Man United. Lisandro Martinez, Anthony, Malacia, Cody Gakpo is just up next, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And even Depay. I wouldn't be shocked if Depay would be considering a move to Man United to Erik ten Hag. Because Depay, for the Netherlands, is a hell of a goal scorer, okay? He's the second top goal scorer, okay, in the history of the Netherlands. And I think he will top. He will top eventually and become number one. And that is one crazy bold stat for Memphis Depay. Because he doesn't even play for Barcelona.
I know. It's pretty unreal. And Memphis Depay, I don't. You know who Charles Barkley is because I know you're an NBA guy.
I know
Charles Barkley. He decided to get. Yeah. Well, hey, come on. He was a Philadelphia 76er. I got to give him a little bit of love. But he tried to get on that USMNT bandwagon, and Memphis Depay shut him up by reposting his video and basically saying of the U.S. men's national team, all bark, no bite. All bark, no bite is what he said.
I could see that by going to the MLS in the future, man, because he's got that hype culture. He was a rapper. He is a rapper, too, I think, on the side, just like Rafael Leão. So I think that buys I could see he was once engaged.
He was once engaged, I believe, to Steve Harvey, who is a American comedian and Family Feud host. His not engaged to Steve Harvey. That's interesting. But engaged to Steve Harvey's daughter.
Like Michael B. Jordan.
Steve Harvey's daughter. Pretty much. Something like that. I don't know.
And Mike, oh my days, man. Even the same girl. But it's a hype nation, man. Guys,
but one more shout out from that USA Oranje game. Xavi Simons, man. Xavi Simons going from the guy that everybody was trying to literally label already as some washed up former Wonderkid to going to PSV, turning into an indispensable part of their attack along with Cody Gakpo, to getting called up to the Oranje, and then to becoming a World Cup debutante for the Oranje under Louis van Gaal, which says a lot as well, because that guy's a hell of a coach. You got to give him a little love for getting that time in there. So listen, I wish the Netherlands the best the rest of the way. They're going to have a tough contest against Argentina. But, for some final words on the U.S., because we'll talk about this moving forward, but for some final words on this, this was a step forward. I think everybody, for the most part, sees it as a step forward. Greg Berhalter, in some ridiculous slideshow that he showed to the team, said that he wanted to change the way the world perceived American soccer, American football. Has he gone as far to do that? No, I would say not. So that means for me that we need a new voice. We need a new coach heading into the next 4 years, 3.5 years. And we need somebody that's going to maximize the talents here and continue to build the pipeline out so that we have depth, that we have true depth all across the board. Because this is, I still believe, and maybe I'm a little biased, But based on our demographics, this is a sleeping giant that one day can fulfill its promise. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
I agree, but I still think it's a risky move because the group seems to love Greg Berhalter, but us as fans want to see them progress, and I do agree. But do you have any name of a coach that you would replace with, like Bielsa? Would you go with a Bielsa for the U.S. men's national team, something like that?
Yeah, I said that, like, the real issue there, obviously you can't question his ability as a coach, but the real issue there is there's a double-edged sword in the sense that you get the quality as a coach and the ability to win now, but you also need somebody that can understand the youth academy landscape, the pipeline, the still having to build grassroots football, the still having to develop. We got beat literally by fundamentals, essentially. Right? Like fundamentally sound things that we should not getting beaten on the far post, not losing your mark in transition, right? We got beat by that. Okay. So it really kind of comes down like we don't necessarily need a miracle worker. We need somebody to continue and build on the progress. And that's why I think we could talk about the Bielsas of the world. We could talk about all these big names internationally, but when it comes down to it, I think more realistically, you're going to see like a Jesse Marsh. Ooh. Or you're gonna see like a Jim Curtin from the Philadelphia Union potentially get a shout as somebody that could do it. Although I feel like there needs to be a European football step somewhere in between there before he does that. But Bruce Arena didn't need it before he became one of the more legendary coaches in U.S. History. So I'd have to really chew on that one more, Alex, because it's a tough question because this is a program I think you're going to see a lot of international. Just don't bring in Jurgen Klinsmann and we're all good. But there you go.
Interesting. You never know, man. But but people, put down below, who do you believe should be the next coach of the U.S. men's national team? Put some inspiration there. We want to see some bold shouts in the comment section. But now, we have a big topic in this podcast, episode 83, and I think it's really interesting because there was a ton of research I had to do, and it's the best 11 of the group stage people, okay? I have seen no videos online about this, so we gotta go bold with this topic. But before we say our best 11, put down below who should and must be in our best 11 that we're gonna announce now. Okay, names that we're forgetting, like put down below. We want to see those names. So,
oh my gosh,
want to start?
I'm gonna tell you right now, my tactic or whatever you call like how I'm setting this up is so out of whack. But it's kind of like what I've seen so far. Okay. But starting with defense, it's pretty simple.
I've
got four. I'm still gonna call it a 4-3-3.
So I got a 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1. Me.
Oh, so you have an out-and-out striker?
Yeah. I have one striker. Well, he's not. Yeah. I've got a guy.
Okay. I've got a guy. Like that's what I was wrestling with. And you know me, I'm not Mr. Tactical Genius here. So I'm just trying to essentially fit who I think deserves to be in there. But man, was it a lot harder? Was it a lot harder than I expected? I thought that this was going to be a slam dunk, and it's not.
Midfield, it's hard. In midfield, it's hard. There's a couple of names.
It really
here.
is.
And I just want to say, really Amrabat, Kudus, like this Enzo. There's a ton of midfielders that in this World Cup, their perspective is completely changing. Even Moises Caicedo, Pedri, Gavi, Musiala, so many talents are playing so well in this World Cup. Yeah. But okay, I'll get into it with the goalkeeper. So on my end, I had to go with the best goalkeeper in the group stage. No doubt in my mind, it was Szczesny. Okay, Szczesny saved two crucial pens for Poland, one against Saudi Arabia and another one against Messi. And if he didn't save one of those pens, Poland wouldn't have gone through in the World Cup, and it would have been Mexico. So yeah, he's my shout at goalkeeper.
and I 100% agree with you. My shout at goalkeeper is Szczesny as well. And I know it's weird because we just came from watching him give up 3 to France. But when it comes down to it, I beyond the 2 penalty saves, one which was against Leo Messi, right? Beyond the 2 penalty saves, he also had, I think he averaged like 6 saves a game and had to save double-digit double digits within the penalty box, within the penalty area. Okay, so it wasn't like, this was just him collecting a bunch of, random things. No, he kept Poland in the group stage, and he kept Poland for as long as possible in that round of 16 game. So Szczesny deserves it, and I bet a lot of Juve fans out there are going like, yeah, can you bring that form back to us, please? Because we need it.
Yeah, true. Juve that has sacked the whole directors, man. New times at Juve. Agnelli out. There's finally hope with Juve, in my opinion. But
or there's jail sentences and financial penalties. I don't know. I mean, is this Juve relegation redux? This is scary. It's scary stuff. But a couple just beyond, before we move through the goalkeepers, there were a couple other, it was crazy. There were goalkeepers that had 2 phenomenal group stage games and then one kind of stinker. Unai Simon for Spain against I forget which game was not very good, but he had 2 great games, 1 bad game. Gonda for Japan had 2 great games, 1 bad game. One performance that really stood out for me was actually Devin Apesi. For Cameroon in that final game versus Brazil. He really stood on his head. So I just wanted to make sure I said his name, even if I butchered it. That game, that massive win over Brazil, Abu Bakar's goal at the end of the game wouldn't have meant anything if Apasi did not keep them in it, especially after that whole Andre Onana craziness where he was the starter and then he was asked to do something different and he said, nope, I'm out of here, and took a jet away from Qatar.
It's true.
Szczesny.
That was mad, man. That was mad what happened to Onana.
Yeah.
A feud with the manager was rumored. So, yeah. Do you agree with us with Szczesny? Tell us down below. So, my defense. I went.
Yeah.
So, Szczesny in goal. Theo Hernandez at left back. Konate, with Guardiola at center back. And at the right, Hakimi. And I want to give a shout to Pep. Pep for Portugal, at 39 years old, is being one of the key pieces of our team. And it's absolutely mad, the longevity of this man. He has to be mentioned more as a leader. It's not just Cristiano Ronaldo in that locker room that leads the team. Pep is there too. So I want to give a shout to Pep. But he's not
It's a good shout. And you and I have 75% of our defense is the same. Okay? I have 1 center back that's different. So left back, Theo. Center back, I've got Josko Gvardiol. And listen, Gvardiol is 20 years old. 20 years old.
That's it.
I mean, he's on. I mean, it's unreal. It absolutely is unreal. And he was the only convincing player for Croatia against Belgium. And Belgium probably should have had some goals still, but Gvardiol, Gvardiol and Lukaku were the bigger reasons why Croatia kept that a clean sheet. But Gvardiol, I can't even fathom what he's going to be like in the next 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. He's going to be an absolute boss.
Who gets him?
It's
Chelsea
true.
or City gets Gvardiol in your opinion?
I mean, I gotta put Bowley is not letting things go by him. I gotta put him in the front seat right now because he's already gotten Nkunku in the bag, which we'll talk about later. And now Gvardiol, my guess is he's not letting that go.
18 million
so
minimal.
Gvardiol. Wow.
But who's your other center back?
All right, so left back I've got Theo. Center back I've got Josko Gvardiol. My other center back is Kalidou Koulibaly from Senegal. Okay?
I thought you were going to say Maguire. I really thought you were going to say Maguire.
I know. That's why the dramatic pause came in. But believe it or not, and my right back, let me finish that, is Achraf Hakimi. Okay? So the only one I've got different to you is Kalidou Koulibaly. I thought he took the 1 goal he had, right? Yeah. I thought he took that phenomenally well. Coming into this without Sadio Mane as a leader on the pitch, I don't think he was given enough credit for being the glue defensively in Senegal's run to face England now in the round of 16. So here's the thing: is that it was incredibly level for me between Koulibaly, between Konate, and between Roman Saiz of Morocco, because I thought Saiz, a little more than Amrabat, in my opinion, was the guy for Morocco that kept that central defense really, really intact. And I got another quick shout out for you because this one was bonkers. We all thought Eric Garcia was going to be the guy, right, for Spain. But in turn, it ended up being who? Rodri at center back.
Yep.
Yeah. And a quick shout out to him because I completely missed this. In that final game that they lost, in the group stage, Rodri set a record for most passes completed in a World Cup match with 204.
That's bold.
204.
That's a Pep Guardiola type player, clearly.
It is. And he completed 95%. Okay. And it's the first time, if you go to SofaScore, which we use sometimes, we use a lot of different stat programs, but SofaScore, it is the first time that they've ever registered, period, in any competitive match that they've ever registered somebody having 200 plus passes completed in a game. Literally, if you divide that by 90, that's like two and a quarter passes per minute.
That's mad.
That he had.
That's mad.
Everything flowed through Rodri.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And he has Busquets in front of him. So that just shows the importance that Rodri has in this team. But I love how the fact that we have the same fullbacks. So it's clear as day that the best fullbacks in the group stages were Theo Hernandez for France and Hakimi for Morocco. Both, if they weren't playing, like the teams wouldn't play so well, definitely. Especially Hakimi for Morocco. Like, he's an icon, Moroccan icon already, man. And he reminds us how good he is. Because at PSG, it's Nunez and Hakimi, and both are so bold. So,
it's true. It's true. And just a couple more shout-outs here, because Virgil van Dijk stood in the back. I mean, I wouldn't say he had too much to do, except against Ecuador. I'm going to give him love. I know you won't, but Harry Maguire has had himself a good group stage. But there's another Harry out there that deserves a little more credit. Australia would have not gotten through their group stage if it weren't for that big boy in the back, 6'6", 6'7". Harry Sutter was immense, absolutely immense for them. And then the only other shout out I got to give, because I don't give England enough shout so far, is Kieran Trippier has been phenomenal for England, and Luke Shaw's been pretty good on the left for them as well. It's just they really haven't had to do too much, I guess. But we'll see.
I think both are good shouts. Yeah, I think the fullbacks aren't disappointing for England. I agree. Trippier too. Trippier seems to be with Southgate, a player that always plays well. So I think that's a reasonable show. Okay, so with your defense, so just ending up, my defense has Szczesny, Theo, Konate, Gvardiol, and Hakimi. Yours has?
Mine is Theo, Gvardiol, Koulibaly, and Hakimi.
Okay, so the center back, that's where we differ. But tell us down below your best defense. So I said I had a 4-2-3-1. So my two midfielders, I went very defensive. But for me, these are the two best midfielders in the group stage, in my opinion. Well, three. I'm going to say the other one. I'm going to put Tchouaméni, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes. This is the best midfield, in my opinion, in the group stages, in my opinion, in this World Cup. Tchouaméni for France, absolutely vital. Bruno Fernandes with 2 goals, 2 assists, must be in the talk. And Casemiro for Brazil, best player.
And somewhere Eric Ten Hag is smiling. Right?
Yeah.
I mean that's a lot of Manchester United in that midfield, and I'm gonna say it right now. That's my midfield.
What? You have the same midfield?
That's my midfield.
We didn't talk. I swear we didn't talk before about our teams, man. That's your same midfield. It's crazy. I didn't even notice that there were two Man United players there.
hell, it would have been better for me to have a different midfield because we'd have something more to talk about. But no. I mean, Casemiro only played 2 games, but they didn't concede a goal. They barely even conceded shots when Casemiro was in. He also had that rifle of a goal. Tchouaméni has stepped up. I mean, immensely stepped up. I think we all expected it, but it's another thing when it happens. Like, this is a young guy. This is not, this is it's really impressive what he's doing. I don't think people understand that, right? To have the weight of what Les Bleus represents after 2018's victory, to have that curse, to have everything come in, to have Pogba go out, to have N'Golo Kante go out, and to have everything fall on your shoulders, like, that's a big deal. And to do it at Real Madrid and then also do it in the French national team shows you that this guy was just primed to take that next step up. And Bruno has, in my opinion, as is yours, I believe, has obviously been Portugal's best player so far.
I agree. Totally.
So
that lot too. Shout to him when he plays. When he plays. So
a couple other shout outs. Just a couple other shout outs there. I mean, Pedri, obviously. I mean, everything is also run through him. I've got to give some love to Jamal Musiala, who was the XG factor for Germany, even if they couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And my goodness, is his future just dizzying at how promising it is. I'm going to give a little love. Before I give love to Enzo, I'm going to give a little more love to Alexis McAllister, because he has turned in really good performances, even if they haven't been, best 11. He has turned in really good performances. Amrabat, as we talked about previously, for Morocco, and Tyler Adams, I have to give a little love, because even though he misstepped in that round of 16 game, in the group stage, as went Tyler Adams, the U.S. men's national team followed. So I was very, very hyped to see him have such a good tournament. And then Eo Tanaka for Japan did not get really any love from anybody in the group stages. Well, he's getting love from me right now.
So we got Tanaka. So midfielders that we should give shouts for this World Cup. We have Tanaka, as you said, Kudus, Amrabat, Enzo Fernandes, Moises Caicedo, Arrascaeta. Okay, I think he deserves that shout. You said Tyler Adams too, Pedri, Musiala. And who am I missing?
I think Alexis McAllister. Gavi. I mean,
and Caicedo maybe. That's so a lot of midfielders.
Caicedo.
A lot of.
I would have loved to have seen more of Caicedo. I really would have loved to have seen more of him. But a lot of midfielders. I mean, you could throw Yunus Musa in there too.
I like Bellingham.
I don't know.
Bellingham.
And Jude.
Jude, of course. Jude Bellingham. Let's not forget Jude Bellingham. I'm sure a lot of people have them in the best 11 in the group stage. I won't be crazy going against that, because that does make sense. So
the
three forwards.
No, go ahead. Yes.
So the three forwards now. I'm gonna say at right wing, I'm gonna put Cody Gakpo, because I think Cody Gakpo is translating the form of PSV right to the Netherlands, with so many goal involvements. He's got like more than 30 goal involvements this season, matching the likes of Erling Haaland. So that is such a bold shout, and Cody Gakpo is going very bold. I got Mbappe at left wing. I think Mbappe is the best left winger in the world of football right now. No debate. 9 goals scored in the World Cup. He keeps going bold, and like Maradona, for people to have like a comparison, has 8 goals scored in the World Cup. And Maradona is the GOAT for many people.
Crazy.
At 23, Mbappe has 9. So, and my striker, I put Messi in that false 9. So for me, Messi, yes, he missed 2 pens. That for me is, if it was Ronaldo, it would be tragic, that happened. But Messi went very bold, not considering the pens. He saved Argentina when they need, and he inspired the team. He inspired Enzo. He inspired Julian Alvarez, and that's what they needed. It wasn't Angel Di Maria like in the final of the Copa America saving the day. It was Messi. So he is in my best 11 of the group stage.
Tell you what, though, Julian Alvarez wants a little piece of this in the round of 16. So I'm gonna be watching him the rest of the way. But wow, okay, yeah. So that search for striker, you had the same trouble that I had finding an out and out striker. We know Messi sometimes lines up top. On top of that, he obviously comes back into the midfield. I mean, not that crazy. So you and I have a very similar up top. We're only different on the wing, on the right wing. So my left wing is Kylian Mbappe, and just to add to what you said, like he has already matched Eusebio. He's already matched Davi Villa. He's already matched Roberto Baggio. He's already matched Leo Messi. Okay? And this kid is 23 years old. I don't think anyone realizes how bad... I don't know. I don't want to curse. How insane that statistic is, that this kid at 23 years old has already dropped 9 World Cup goals and added a bunch of assists on top of that. I mean, next up, he's coming after Mueller. He's coming after Batistuta. He's coming after Klinsmann, Gerd Mueller, Just Fontaine, and then Miroslav Klose. He should have Miroslav Klose by 2026 if all goes well, right? So it's unreal. Like, I don't think we realize how insane not only Mbappe has been for PSG from a goal scoring perspective, but he hasn't met Ronaldo or Messi on those levels. But he is already surpassing some of those levels from the international perspective. True. And to do it with Les Bleus is absolutely insane because of the depth that's around. Mbappe is otherworldly right now. Okay, and watch him get knocked out in the quarterfinals. You never know.
Or the semis against us if we get to the.
There you go. So my left wing is Kylian Mbappe. My striker / false 9 is Leo Messi as well. And as a right wing, I'm going with continued Morocco love here. Hakim Ziyech, I love the narrative of what has happened, of him coming back in, of him getting given another chance, and of him being the glue and the reason why they topped that group, and why they are facing. I don't know. I mean, they're facing a pretty good prospective matchup against Spain. I really, really like this team, and we'll see what happens. So Hakim Ziyech makes his way in there, but my goodness, to keep Griezmann out of here, to keep Ritsu Doan, Gakpo, Valencia, Taremi, Rashford 3 goals. My goodness. Manchester United is having an amazing World Cup.
It's true.
Are you serious?
Are you serious right now? It's true, man. It's facts.
It's crazy.
It's for me, the shouts I'd give that are not in my 11 forwards would be João Felix. I think João Felix has had moments. Abubakar, Ener Valencia, and Rashford. I think Rashford I think Rashford's balling out because Rashford knows he can get that contract extension when he returns to Man United, and that would make a huge difference in confidence, in my opinion. He would consolidate his future at the club, and that gives confidence to a player.
That does. Well, here's the crazy thing, because outside of Casemiro, we didn't have any Brazilians really in the best 11, and they made their way through. And you gotta feel like the knockout rounds. Now is the best time out of any for guys like Vinicius or Rodrigo or Neymar, who has been cleared to play against South Korea, for them to start really going bold, because this is where their tournament starts, right? So I'm going to be really interested to see whether or not Vinny turns things up in this round of 16
But
clash.
I think Neymar is back, though. Neymar is going to return for the game against South Korea, and that is a massive boost. And if Neymar is the same Neymar as we saw in that Copa America final for the South Korea game, the Jets are going to start, and the people are going to go bold. It's going to be good times to see this Brazil team. But we didn't mention a lot of Brazilian players, it's true. But I want to give a last shout saying the best goal of the group stage was no doubt in my mind, Richarlison's goal. Richarlison went so bold with that first touch and then that volley. Like, for me, that is going to be one of the biggest memories of this World Cup. And it's clearly the Ancelotti effect from Everton. He changed the mentality of Richarlison to become a goal scorer. So I want to give him a shout too, because what a player he is now. What a player.
That's a good shout. One other random shout before we move on. In that Argentina-Australia game, Australia gave Argentina everything they could. Okay, and they honestly made it pretty dang interesting in those last 10 minutes. And I got to give a little love to Garang Kuol, who at 18 years old, he became the youngest ever to play in a World Cup knockout match since guess who?
Pelé.
Exactly. Since Pele. I mean, how's that for company?
That's
so
mad.
Kuol will move on to Newcastle now that Australia's time is done.
Mm-hmm.
Kuol will move on to Newcastle, and it'll be interesting to see if his development kind of goes stratospheric, exponential from here, or whether or not it stalls out. But it was interesting to see that. And that kind of gives me a segue into who is your best young player at the tournament so far?
Jamal
Now-
Musiala. I think Jamal Musiala deserves that crown. Or Guardiola.
Okay.
Because Guardiola
Yeah.
was instrumental for Croatia. Those for me are the two youngsters that were definitely the highlights of the tournament. Or Gavi at given moments. I'd maybe say him. Given moments.
At given moments. Absolutely, at given moments. And I'd throw Jude in there and Enzo in there if we're going to go U21. Enzo obviously had a good effect, although he was I believe he was was it Lissandro or was it Enzo that led to that
Enzo. It was Enzo's own goal. Yep.
Okay. But that wasn't the group stage. So that wasn't the group stage. No, but Argentina's group stage would have looked a whole lot different if they didn't make those changes and give Enzo, give McAllister, give Julian Alvarez the license to play ball. So it was a great decision from Scaloni, because otherwise they would have been maybe out of the tournament.
Without Enzo, I think I could see that, man. Those goals inspired a lot. Those two goals that were crucial. So, like, the best 11 of the group stage, my 11 has Szczesny in goal, left back Theo, then center backs Konate and Gvardiol, and at the right Hakimi. And then my midfield, Chouameni, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes, two Man United players, and the three forwards with Mbappe at left wing, Messi false nine, and at the right, Cody Gakpo, man. What a player. That's my best 11 of the group stage.
All right. Well, my best 11 doesn't look too insanely different. But my best 11 is Szczesny in goal, Theo at left back, Gvardiol and Koulibaly as my center back pairing. My right back is Achraf Hakimi. My midfield is Casemiro, Chouameni, and Bruno. Sounds like, similar to yours. And then my front three is Mbappe with Messi at the false nine as well. And I'm going with Hakim Ziyech as my right winger.
Love it.
It was a hell of a group stage, dude. One of my most favorite group stages, and I've been around a little longer than you, sir. So I've seen some group stages, but this was a hell of a group stage, and one that I'm sad is over.
I've got here in the notes saying, like, the World Cup until now has been so exciting to watch, man. It has really been, and there's been disappointments. There's been bold moments with Japan, Morocco inspiring the nation, like Saudi Arabia maybe going through everyone on edge, Costa Rica even putting everyone on edge with a squad that's 8 years older, man. Everything, and Germany upset, and Belgium upset. So much happened in this World Cup. But I have a question here, and it's because of the proposal for 2026. We're going to have a different World Cup with 48 teams in the next World Cup, okay, people? And there's a proposal that I put down below which type of World Cup would you prefer, because in the World Cup it's being discussed to have a system with 16 groups, 3 national teams, with 12 groups, with 4 national teams, like it is, like similar to what it is now, but just with more teams, or 2 groups with 24 teams in the 2 groups. So what would you think would be the best system for the World Cup? I really don't want the 2 groups. I don't want the 2 groups.
I don't either, and I think this leads to a broader conversation that we need to have about the Champions League, because the Champions League is essentially, getting rid of these group of 4s as well and doing very similar stuff. But listen, if there's one thing that this World Cup did reaffirm, it's that the groups of 4 really does lead to a lot of intrigue. And you have like a little bit of a balance between player personnel, right? Because you can't quite start the same lineup every game, so there needs to be a little testing of the depth. So we saw some flat-out blowout wins, and we saw some really close and amazing upsets, and some amazing group games. And I think if you get rid of that, and I get it, there's a little bit of like what we know. We don't like change, but it just kills it for me. And again, this is where the old head in me comes out and says, I remember in 1994 when there were groups of 4, but the USA escaped their group by finishing 3rd and going into a pool of best place, 3rd place teams. So I am going to say that I would rather, if there needs to be change, if we're adding in 48, if we're going to have 48 teams, I would like to preserve the 12 groups of 4, and just add back in the best third place team groups, because you still get the desired outcome of the best of 32 knockout round, right? And you still preserve what people know, which is those groups of 4 in the group stage. I think either of the other ones are ridiculous, kind of far end of the spectrum types of change that is maybe too soon when you're adding in 16 new teams.
Okay, I understand that. I understand that point of view, and I agree with you. I would go with the 12 groups, 4 national teams. But people, tell us down below, what would you like to see the next format to be in 2026 down below for the World Cup? So, we got news outside of the World Cup, little tidbits that we want to mention. I want to say here, this went through a lot of people, but Pep Guardiola has announced that he's going to be at Man City until 2025, another extension, which is not good for the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal that are trying to compete with Man City, because, oh my days, man, Pep Guardiola wants to have a legacy like Ferguson. Like Ferguson, as it seems. Like, oh my days, man. Like, he's going to win it all. He's going to win it all.
Or counterpoint, is this going to be an instance where Pep Guardiola overstays his welcome? Where it becomes, what is it? You live long enough. You're the hero long enough. You live long enough to become the villain, right?
I don't think that's the case. I
don't think it's the case either.
Very well. Like Julian Alvarez, like, even when I know Erling Haaland is going to be like a Man City legend, he's going to score, he's going to break records, so many records in the Prem. But like Julian Alvarez is just in the pipeline. And Alvarez would start for easily 75 to 80% of the Prem teams. No doubt. Even at Arsenal, I might say that Alvarez would have maybe a chance to be ahead of Gabriel Jesus. Because look at Alvarez for Argentina. Look at Gabriel Jesus for Brazil.
And what a piece of business too, right? What a piece of business to get the Aranya for what, like 19 million euros, and I think that's over valuing what it actually cost. But it's all really interesting here, because I don't think, obviously, and maybe this is stating the obvious, I'm sorry, but Pep Guardiola would not have extended, right, if his Erling Haaland, Julian Alvarez, if this start of the rebuild didn't show early dividends or didn't pay early dividends, right? Because he's now got like this, he's got this renewed vigor when it kind of comes down to this, because like now he's looking at it like Haaland hasn't been busted up yet to the point where he's missing 3 months for me. Exactly. Julian Alvarez is going bold at the World Cup. I can make these drastic changes, and they are so far panning out. And we're in the knockout rounds of the Champions League, and we're pretty dang close and within shooting distance at the top of the Prem.
And Bernard Silva stayed, and
yeah.
That's huge for them. And you got Gundogan too there. Like, that for me, it's like the amount of options that Man City has is ridiculous. And this extension too gives me a guarantee that next summer, Man City's going to go so bold in the transfer market. We can all see what's going to happen. Bernard Silva might leave. Gundogan might leave. But who's coming? Jude Bellingham, there's a proper chance that he can come. Enzo Fernandez, there's a proper chance he can come. One of these two midfielders, I expect to arrive to Man City next summer. And that's going to be a proper signing in midfield that will make huge turbulence. Huge turbulence. Rodri and Jude or Enzo, that's so good.
Yeah.
So good of options, man.
Yeah.
But I got Jude Bellingham written down here. Like, no Real. I don't believe he's going to Real Madrid. Jude Bellingham.
No.
No. There's a lot of news about that. But I think Jude Bellingham's first option, the best sporting option, like in terms of the best sporting decision for Jude Bellingham would be go to Man City, in my opinion. The one that he could become the biggest icon is Liverpool. But I don't know if Liverpool can compete with the likes of Man City's investment and United's too and Real Madrid. So, yeah, I'd prefer Enzo to go to Real Madrid. Personal choice. Personal choice.
Well, that'll be definitely something we're going to be watching because Jude, I just see for some reason he's just a natural fit at Liverpool, but we'll see if it actually happens.
And even and why I don't say Real Madrid for Jude, it's because even if he goes to the Prem, I could see Jude then going to Real Madrid. And if Jude Bellingham goes to the Prem first, that gives time for him to go with Jamal Musiala one day. At the same time, that would be like Galacticos, like Ronaldo, Kaká, Benzema. Imagine if Jude Bellingham, Jamal Musiala, and Erling Haaland all went at the same time to Real Madrid. The effect to join Tchouaméni, Vinicius, the youth, that would be shockwaves in the world. It would be crazy, man.
And that's where factoring in and actually talking about how young Jude Bellingham still is, right? It's absolutely bonkers that this guy is leading the line, not leading the line, but leading the midfield for England. And he's also leading the midfield for Borussia Dortmund. And he 4 years from now, he's not even going to crack 25 years old, and he can make another big sporting decision at that point in time, and it wouldn't be that crazy.
True.
So.
True, it wouldn't. And Liverpool, again, it's all or nothing for Liverpool. All or nothing. If Klopp doesn't get the midfield sorted, it's going to be a very tough season until the end for Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. And Mo Salah's not in the World Cup too, so Mo Salah, we might see I flip the switch in the Premier League. Yeah. So that can happen.
If there's one thing, to go back to the U.S. men's national team for a second, if there's one thing that has become incredibly clear for me, it's that there's probably not any room for Christian Pulisic to remain at Chelsea. But at least you got to think that he's given himself his best shot at landing a team within the next month or so. I honestly believe, with Todd Boehly, we're going to talk about Christopher Nkunku,
right now.
and him putting together as many resources as possible to make them relevant or keep them relevant. Christian Pulisic has to leave, and he needs to go somewhere where there's guarantees that he's going to play where he needs to play. Not this wingback crap, not this, whatever it is you need for the team. Christian, you're at the point in your career where you need to play in order to show up every day and deliver. Because he showed he can deliver for the U.S. He showed he can deliver for the U.S.
And he will develop into a better player if he goes to the likes of Juve, AC Milan, and he is the guy of the team. Or Newcastle even. I'd love to see Newcastle just splash in the cash next summer or January. Say, James Maddison, you come to us. Christian Pulisic, you come to us. Everyone that is a top player that's not performing at the high level, just come to us. I could see Newcastle doing that type of stuff, man. So, yeah, Christian Pulisic, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. And
I could see Christian Pulisic forming a nice little partnership with Alex Isaac. Another guy that has to get off the ground for Newcastle to kind of take a step to another level. But come on, Bruno Pulisic, Isaac at his best. Joelinton. I mean, hey, come on! I love it. We'll see Trippier on the right.
That team is really good, man. Newcastle. We're huge fans. Botman right decision. They still didn't overspend. And that's gonna be the talk when we come back to football talk after the World Cup. But my last shouts not last shouts, because Nkunku you mentioned. Yes, Nkunku is going to Chelsea.
Yes.
Close to 70 million, and these are the type of moves that give guarantees. Much better than Raheem Sterling, okay? I think this shows that Raheem Sterling is not the choice to be the main man at Chelsea, and I could see Guardiola joining, Chelsea too. 2 players from RB Leipzig joining Chelsea in the next year, as it seems. And they need a left center back. And Joško Gvardiol would be the perfect decision to go to Chelsea. So, yeah, I could see those two. Because they're not going to win the Bundesliga.
No, they're not. But my goodness, with that raid RB Leipzig, and put them back a few years for sure. So I can't imagine if you're already losing in Nkunku. Yeah, I know, but they do have a tilt where they want to blood young players. I know Nkunku's not under 23 anymore, but Gvardiol, I just wonder who would be next there. You buy Strahinja Pavlovic from Red Bull Salzburg.
Like that.
You buy, he's not obviously. Gvardiol is a whole lot more mobile than Pavlovic is, but Pavlovic is probably the only Serbian player that actually asserted himself well in this World Cup. But yeah, RB Leipzig would be insane, probably for like 120 million plus. But to lose Nkunku and Gvardiol, that would hurt.
It'd be tough. Definitely. So my last shouts in the pod, I want to say, people, Gustavo Scarpa has arrived to the Prem. And this is a name that you must pay attention. Balled out at Palmeiras with Abel Ferreira. And I really think he'll have a positive impact for Nottingham Forest. Gustavo Scarpa. Very intelligent player. On ball and off ball. I really like this player.
Yeah.
And my last shout is Ruben Amorim has extended his contract at Sporting until 2026. And he does this because there's no vacant spot in the top 6 of the Prem. And he's got a release clause of 30 million people, the Sporting manager. Yeah. And I fully believe Ruben Amorim will only leave Sporting if a team pays that release clause of 30 million. And I could see one day Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Man United maybe having that need of replacing their managers with a manager like Ruben Amorim that trusts the youth and can win titles. So, that's a great decision from him, in my opinion.
Not to get off topic here, but Arsenal's going to need to find a striker unless they think Eddie Nketiah can do it, because Gabriel Jesus being out for 3 months or so.
Yep.
Woo, that hurts.
And Gabriel Jesus, for Brazil, is not the same player. That just shows, raw player. Gabriel Jesus, no tactics of Mikel Arteta. He's not as good as Dusan Vlahovic, 100%. So if Arsenal wants to be not just a Premier League winning team, a Champions League winning team, that I'm sure Mikel Arteta has those ambitions, it's not with Gabriel Jesus as striker, in my opinion. They will have to get a player like Vlahovic, a player like Haaland. I know it's way off, but Julian Alvarez would even be better, in my opinion, than Gabriel Jesus. So...
well, and again, not to go backwards in time and rewind here, but the Gustavo Scarpa, I'm sure this is Nottingham Forest's 24th or 25th signing. This is literally the only one that actually makes me excited.
Yep.
It is the first one that makes me excited. Why? Because this guy is a proven reason why Palmeiras has been so good in the Copa Libertadores, has been pretty good in Brasileirão, and he has been one of the biggest reasons Abel Ferreira has continued to have success there. So, I mean, this logically, there's no guarantee it pans out in the Premier League, but he could wind up being the guy that is one of the reasons why Nottingham Forest maybe doesn't get relegated this season. But why did it take him 24 signings to make this one that makes the most sense out of all of them?
True.
So, and then the last thing I got to bring up, because of the World Cup and the craziness around it, you mentioned previously the future of the U.S. team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where it's coming and names we should see. And obviously, because Brendan Aronson was okay for the U.S. in the World Cup, and obviously a big part of the reason why they qualified for the World Cup in the first place, I don't know if I ever really got a chance to mention that his brother, 19-year-old Paxton Aronson, has made his decision and has moved on in a pretty low kind of money, a high potential reward type of signing that I love. Paxton Aronson is going to be working in the dual 10 system. at Eintracht Frankfurt in the German Bundesliga, and I am here for that. And I hope it works out because we need the more creativity that we can build and foster and give chances to, the better. And Paxton's got it in spades. The only thing he's missing and was missing at the Union was the ability to do so because the Union are stacked at the 10 with Gazdag. So go on. Godspeed, Braxton Aronson. I hope you do well. And hopefully we get a chance to talk to him soon. Been trading DMs with him, and I hope it happens. Maybe we can get him on the pod to just chat a little bit about what the future for the U.S. team looks like in the near future.
Love to see it. Paxton Aronson, man. He's going bold to Frankfurt. Right decision. Yeah. Let's see if it goes better than Pepe at Augsburg, man.
I hope so.
Now in Eredivisie, doing much, much better. But people, tell us down below your choices, okay, of the best 11 in the group stages. Things that we've missed to talk about in the podcast episode 83. Put down below in the comment section. And if you're listening until now, please do not forget to hit the like button. It's a huge help for us, like at FC Wonderkid. Don't forget to subscribe at FC Wonderkid on YouTube. And thank you, people, for going bold another episode.